Come all you rounders if you wanna hear the story about brave engineer Casey Jones was the roller's name. On a 6-8 wheeler, boys, he rode to fame. The caller called Casey about 4:30. He kissed his wife at the station door, climbed to the cabin, his orders in his hand, said, "This is my trip to the promised land." Casey Jones mounted to the cabin. Casey Jones, orders in his hand. Casey Jones, leaning out the window, taking a trip to the promised land. When Casey pulled up on Reno Hill, he whistled for the crossing, loud and shrill. The switchman knew by the engine's moan the man at the throttle was Casey Jones. Well, Casey said, "Fireman, don't you fret. Sam Webb says I ain't a-giving up yet. 8 hours late with the southbound mail. We'll be on time or we'll be leaving the rails." Hey, it's Casey Jones, mounting to the cabin. Casey Jones, orders in his hand. Casey Jones, leaning out the window, taking a trip to the promised land. Look at the water. The water's low. Well, check your watch. My watch is slow. Well, fill up the water and shovel that coal. Lean out the window, watch the drivers roll. Mississippi doing 75, rounded the bend to a great surprise. Warning flags were set too near, cars on the track could never clear. Casey Jones mounted to the cabin. Casey Jones, orders in his hand. Casey Jones, leaning out the window, taking a trip to the promised land. Dead on the rails was a northbound freight, making up time had changed their fate. Casey yelled, "Sam, look up ahead. Now jump, Sam, jump, or we'll both be dead." His hand on the whistle, the other on the brake. All Mississippi was wide awake. He slowed that train to 35, but the engine rolled over. Who could survive? The crash was terrible. What a wreck! Casey was wounded in his neck, but the passenger cars remained upright. Not a passenger killed on that awful night. Well, Casey expired later that night. Investigators studied the site. They all agreed it was Casey's fault. He got the blame by death's default. Casey Jones mounted to the cabin. Casey Jones, orders in his hand. Casey Jones, leaning out the window, taking a trip to the promised land. The Illinois Central officials said he was a good engineer, but he's a lying dead. Our Casey has taken the master's hand, 'cause he's taking a trip to the promised land. Oh, headaches and heartaches, all kinds of pain, all are a part of the railroad game. Sweat and toil, the good and the grand, all part of the life of a railroad man. All part of the life of a